Good morning and welcome to our class, Therapeutic Yoga, today. And just a reminder, periodically good to remind you that whatever it is that I'm suggesting that you do in the class, your body is really your teacher. And if it doesn't feel good to you or it feels like it might strain or you're not sure, I definitely recommend backing off, even skipping things if they don't feel right for you, or doing a modified version. And you can always ask questions. You can email me, and if you're not sure about something, and we can work it out, or give me a call anytime. All right, so today we are working with the area around the heart, and the element that's associated with this area is air. Not surprisingly, this is the area of the lungs and where we breathe. And you know, as we're heading into flu and cold season, and of course we already have this COVID issue going on, all of that has an impact on our breath and on our breathing. And so today we're going to focus here, and I really want to stress that when we're focusing on breathing, it's not about breathing as much as you can. It's absolutely not about straining your breath. The most important thing is really the mindfulness aspect of bringing your attention to your breath. We're going to start with noticing the breath as it is, and then doing some movements to help to increase the space around your breath, the space that the breath has to move into. And then the breath naturally can grow a little deeper, a little fuller. But when we start to force the breath, we create a lot of agitation in the nervous system. And right now, the other thing that we really need is calm, right? We need peace in our hearts, we need calm, we need a nervous system that is as regulated as possible so that when we have spikes of stress, that we have the capacity to deal with that. So we'll start seated. You can sit on a chair or on the floor, whatever is comfortable for you. And do let me know if you have any issues hearing me. I've got the microphone, moving it around with me, so hopefully it continues to pick me up well. So finding a comfortable seat, and as always, whether you're sitting on the floor or sitting on a chair, trying to have a long, relaxed spine. So sitting up tall, but not kind of rigidly or forcing that position. So we'll take a moment to notice the breath as it is, to feel that element of air moving in and out of our bodies. And you may be aware that breathing actually takes no effort on our part. We do it automatically. There's no force when we're breathing normally. Of course, if you have some difficulty breathing, that's a different story. Asthma or any chronic issues, or you know, anything acute, if you're dealing with cold or flu, then of course your breath will require more effort. But just normal breathing, the body does it all on its own. We don't have to do anything. So I invite you to let go of that process, that, you know, we have the ability to control the breath, but in this exercise, we're not exercising that ability. It's simply noticing the breath as it is. So you might pay attention to where you feel the breath moving. Is it in the belly? Is it in the chest? Is it only in the front? Do you feel it in the sides or the back of your body? It's really breath awareness, not breath changing or controlling, but breath awareness. Where do you feel it? What's the quality of your breath? Does it feel naturally deep or naturally more shallow? And then again, as we bring movement in, it's not about trying to make the breath fuller or longer or anything like that. It's just allowing the movement to open up a little bit more space so the breath can naturally move a little deeper. So let's take the arms down to the sides. So our lungs come right up in underneath the collarbone, so tight shoulders can affect the quality of the breath as well. So let's lift the shoulders up as if we're stretching the lungs up Breathing in and then exhale, roll them back and release them down. Go at your own pace, lifting up like you're stretching up your lungs, and then exhale, releasing. And again, we're not trying to breathe as deeply as possible. It's letting the breath feel as natural as you can. And then leaving the shoulders relaxed down away from your ears. We'll lift the arms up in front, and that pulls the rib cage up a little away from the hips. And then exhale to lower the arms down. The rib cage moves in and down as you exhale. It moves up and opens as you inhale. It just happens naturally. So again, nothing you need to do. You're simply raising the arms as you inhale, lowering the arms as you exhale, and maybe noticing where and how the breath moves. Okay, now let's work with one arm at a time. So you can rest one hand on your leg, the other arm down to your side, and we'll lift up, breathing in, really lengthen that side, and then exhale and release. So we'll do that a couple more times. Okay, and then this time let's leave the arm up. We'll externally rotate, which means turn the palm towards where the other hand would be. And draw the shoulder down just a little bit so you're not bringing tension into the shoulder or the neck. Anchor down on the sit bone on that side, both sit bones really, but especially the side with the raised arm. And then reaching up and over. Exhale as you reach over. Inhale as you lift up. As always, if it's uncomfortable to have your arm up in the air, just bring it down onto the shoulder or bring your hand to your hip or even down along the side of your body. Great, stay for a couple of breaths now. And again, it's not about going as far as you can. If you feel like you're a little lopsided or tipping to one side, you can bring your hand to the chair instead, but really want to feel anchored on both sit bones, like there's absolutely no possibility that you would go anywhere here. All right, let's lower that arm. You can let it hang down. You might feel some tingling or circulation or energy coming into the arm after it's been up for a while. And then placing that hand on the thigh. Maybe take a moment, close your eyes. Imagine a split down the center of your body and how the one side feels compared to the other, the side that you've already worked a little bit, and the other side. And for me, there's a feeling that there's a little more space for that lung to expand. It might be my imagination, but that's what I'm aware of as I tune in. And then we'll take the other arm. First, let it dangle down. Imagine there's a weight on your arm and it's drawing the shoulder down and away from the ear. And then we'll lift nice and easy. You can always bend your arm depending on how your shoulder feels with this movement. Remembering everything that I offer is a suggestion and your body is the guide. What feels okay for you? Maybe it's just lifting the arm a little, maybe there's an injury there. And in this therapeutic class, really trying to honor whatever you're bringing to the class today. Try to give you lots of options, but I'm not aware of everything that's going on with you. So it's really important that you take that responsibility, modify as you need to. So lifting the arm and then turning. It's an external rotation, even though the palm is turning internally. And then relax the shoulder a little bit. That could even mean relaxing the arm a little bit. Anchor down through both sit bones. Again, if you want to hold the chair, if that feels safer for you, go ahead. Lifting up and then exhaling, reaching over just enough to feel a bit of stretch. We're not trying to go as far as we can by any means. Exhale to the side. Inhale, coming up. Great. And then if it feels okay for you to stay, you can stay for a few breaths. Imagine that you're sending the breath into that side rib cage, right down into the waist, up into the armpit, maybe up into the collarbone. And again, it's not about breathing as deeply or as fully as you can, simply noticing the breath as it is. Okay, let's come back up again. You can release that arm, let it hang down, feel the circulation and energy, maybe some tingling or some energy feeling movement in that arm. Right, and then you can bring the hand back onto the thigh. So now we'll work on the front and back of the body. We just worked a little bit on each side. So as you inhale, you're going to lift the chest, breathing in, and then as you exhale, you're going to round the back, let the head come down. So inhaling, finding that lift. You can draw the shoulder blades down and back. Exhale, let the shoulders come forward. Feel some space in the back of your body. Inhale, opening. Exhale, rounding. Let's add on by lifting the arms, coming into cactus or goalpost position, and then coming forward. So you bring your hands onto your thighs, let your body relax forward any amount. And coming up again, breathing in. And think about elbows moving down and back a little to help open up the chest. Exhale, forward. And then I'll invite you next time you come forward to stay in that position. So it could be just resting your hands on your thighs, could be elbows, maybe your chest comes right down onto your thighs and your arms hang down. Whatever position you're in, it helps to open up the back of the body a little bit. So wherever you are, imagine your breath moving into the back space of your body. See if you can maybe feel even some movement in the back ribs, a little opening or expansion in the back ribs as you breathe in and a relaxing of the back ribs as you exhale. And you may not be aware of or notice anything. Of course, you're still moving breath in that way, but sometimes it's so subtle it's hard to pick it up. So if you don't feel any movement in the back of your body, don't worry that you're not breathing correctly. Great, and then let's lift up. You can take the arms up overhead as you come up. And then exhale, sweep the arms down. And if you're sitting on a chair, you can reach back for the sides of your chair. If you're sitting maybe on the floor or where you don't have something to reach beside you, a stool or something, bring your hands together if they'll come together, or just reach them back behind you. So we're going to start to lift the heart and take a few breaths here. Relax the shoulders as much as possible. And just notice where and how you feel the breath here with a little more opening and space in the front of the body. Right, slowly release. Let the arms hang down again. So we'll work a little bit with the joints now, working with the neck. So we're going to take one hand out to the side, straight out, and reach the fingertips out. Keep the shoulder relaxed down, thumb up, and you're going to turn your head to look at your thumb. Big breath in. And then as you start to exhale, slowly move the hand across the body. Now, it might take you more than one breath to do this, so don't worry about coordinating with the breath. Just take your time to move the hand to the opposite shoulder. And then chin comes down, so you're still looking at that thumb. And then you'll watch as you take it out. Again, don't worry about breathing in a particular way. Just make sure you're breathing. And you can even take that arm back and twist your body a little to continue to keep your gaze at your thumb. So a couple more like that. Coming across and down. Okay, finish the one you're on. So your hand comes to your shoulder. Pause there for a couple of breaths. If that's not comfortable, you can just lower the arm. Great. And then we'll bring the head back to center, releasing the arm back down. And we'll go for the other side. So reaching out, start by taking your fingers wide, thumb up. You might feel a little stretch in the arm here. Keep your shoulder relaxed. And then looking out towards your thumb, as long as that's okay for your neck. Follow it all the way across your body. Coming to the opposite shoulder, chin down. You can pause there for a moment and then continue. So we're always watching the hand. If you like, you can add a bit of twist by reaching back a little further, as long as that's okay for your shoulder and your back, your neck. And then coming across to the opposite shoulder, you can pause for a moment. And again. Next time the hand comes to the shoulder, pause for a breath or two. And then you'll release the head to center as you bring the arm down. Okay, let's take both arms again into that goalpost position. So now drawing the shoulders down and back, elbows down and back, breathing in here. And as you exhale, bring your hands together and maybe your elbows will come together, let your head come down. Take a breath into the back of your body. And then inhale to open. Take a breath into the front of your body. Again, it doesn't have to be a big, huge breath, just a nice conscious breath. Bringing the hands together, head down, breath into the back of the body. And then we'll open one more time, this time taking the arms wide. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Circle your wrists. If it feels uncomfortable for your shoulders or arms, lower, either partway or all the way down. You can also try this with your hands in fists. Going one way, then the other. And then give them a shake. Reach out again, big breath in, and then cross your arms one over the other. Bring your hands to your shoulders. Let your elbows relax down and your shoulders drop. You can take a few breaths here, and this helps to bring a little more awareness into the breath in the back of the body. If you like, you can lower your head down and even round your upper back a little bit to help bring more awareness into that space between the shoulder blades. Now notice which arm is on top as you release, so we can do the other side next time. So releasing out, take a breath in. As you exhale, cross over the other way. Again, elbows and shoulders relax down. You can either stay upright here and breathe and feel maybe some movement into the back of your shoulders, or if it helps, you can lower your head, round your upper back just a little bit to help to bring some sensation, perhaps with the breath here. Okay, opening up with a big breath in, reaching out, shoulders relax as you slowly lower down with your arms. Okay, let's do a few rotations here, releasing the shoulders a little bit more. Right, and then hands back onto the thighs or the knees, and we'll do a few more rounds of cat-cow. So inhaling and arching, exhaling and rounding the back. Great, and then let's come back to a neutral spine and we'll move into a twist. So we'll take one hand back either to the seat or the leg of the chair, whatever is comfortable. We're sitting nicely anchored through the sit bones here, raising up the other arm, breathing in. And as you exhale, turning towards the side of the arm that's back, bringing your hand onto the side of the thigh, and then pressing down into the floor or the chair to lift your spine. There's a very gentle pressure on the outside of your leg. And then turning to look over your shoulder, bring the chin slightly down towards the back collarbone. And see where you can find some room for your breath to move here. The twists tend to be a little restrictive. Feel where your breath moves within the restriction of the twist. And slowly release, come back to center. You might feel a little bit of a twist that sort of stays in the body until we do the other side. So just notice how one side feels a little different from the other. Perhaps it may not for you. And then we'll take the other hand back. So use that to press down either to the floor or the chair. Reach the other arm up, grow tall. And then as you exhale, turn around towards the arm that's behind you, bringing your hand onto your thigh. Use the leverage behind you to lift your spine tall. And then chin comes down towards your back shoulder. And again, noticing where the breath can move with the little bit of restriction that we find in the twist. Slowly turning and releasing back to the center. Hands to the thighs. We'll lift both arms. Nice and easy. And then exhale into a forward bend, any amount that feels right for you. Try to let your head release as you go down, as long as that's comfortable. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, releasing forward. Okay, and coming upright, and we'll stay up this time, releasing the arms down. Right, so let's come to stand now. And if you are using a chair, you may want to keep it handy for balance and bringing the hands to the chair in some postures if that works best for you. So coming to stand, you can take the feet just a little bit wider than hip width, maybe to about shoulder width. Bring your hands onto your hips, soften your knees, and we'll do a few circles here. After sitting for a while, it's nice to get the hips moving a little bit. Circling in one direction a few times and then go the other way. Okay, coming back to the center. Again, we'll come back to the shoulders, keeping the knees soft, rolling one shoulder and then the other. You can let the hips swing, maybe the head moves a little. Just be gentle with your neck so you're not throwing your head around. Check in with your knees. If your knees feel like they're getting twisted, move the feet, lifting one foot and the other as you twist so that your knees aren't trying to twist. The other direction as well. So let your body be as fluid as possible here. So there's no points where it feels like things are jamming up. Just moving freely, finding your own rhythm and flow. Okay, and then as you come back to the center, and again, keep the knees soft, feet a bit apart, arms nice and loose. So just give them a shake, let them be super floppy. And then we'll gently twist, letting the hands and arms swing. Again, you can lift one heel if it feels like you're jamming up your knees while you do this, or if it feels comfortable, heels stay on the ground. Right, and then coming back to the center, you can bring the feet in a little bit closer now. Bend and straighten your knees a few times. Check in with how your knees and ankles feel. So there's actually flexion at the hips, the knees, and the ankles in this really simple movement. But we get movement in all three joints of the lower body. I guess 6 if you count both sides. Right. And then let's come back to the center. So bring the hands to the heart. Take a moment here just to connect with your breath again. And then we'll move into a little series to open up the space around the breath and the heart. So taking the hands and lifting as you breathe in. And then separating the hands and making a big circle as you exhale. You can bring your hands and either leave them side by side behind you or bring them together if that's available to you. And draw the shoulders down as you lift the heart. The shoulders come towards each other and down towards the hips. Heart lifts. And take a couple of breaths here. Again, we're not trying to breathe as deeply as we can, just letting the movement that we do and the positions that we come into invite a little more breath as they will. Right, and then releasing the arms out to the side, stretching out. You can even reach back a little bit. Big breath in and then exhale. Hands come back out to the front and back in toward the heart. So again, we'll lift up with the breath in. Big circle around as you exhale. Hands reach back, either interlace or side by side. Shoulders down, heart lifts, jaw, face, neck as relaxed as possible. And then opening, maybe reaching back. Big breath in. Exhale, arms come straight out in front. And then back to the heart. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, big wide circle. Arms come back behind you, interlace and lift. And breathe here, a couple more breaths. We'll add on here, so we're going to release the arms just around to the thighs. Bend the knees a little, slide the hands to the knees, maybe slide the elbows down to the knees, or you can reach toward the ground if you like. If you have any issues of head pressure, high blood pressure for one, any issues with your eyes or ears, you want to keep your head above your heart. So you may want to have your hands or your elbows on your knees. Otherwise, if it feels comfortable, you can hang forward or hands to a chair. We'll take a couple more breaths here. See if you can feel any movement of the breath in the back of your body now. And then we'll come all the way up, breathing in, reaching up overhead, bringing the hands together and back to the heart. And release. Right, so if you have a chair, you may want to use it. We'll be working with Warrior and then just a little bit of balance. So it's entirely up to you. Taking one foot forward, just a little bit back from your chair if you're using a chair, and the other foot behind you in that warrior stance. Your back foot is turned out a little bit. And then facing your hips towards the front foot or the chair or the end of your mat if you're using either of those. We'll bend the front knee. So as we bend the front knee, there's a natural little arch that comes into the back. And then as we lift the arms, it engages the back a little more and creates even more lift through the heart. So here, with an inhale, you can come forward to your chair and maybe move your front leg straighter as you go forward. And then coming back up with the breath in. The other option, if you don't have or don't want to use a chair, is just to bring the hands onto your thigh. So trying to keep the spine long as we do this. So the front leg could move straighter, it doesn't have to. It depends on definitely how much stretch it is. Welcome in the back of that leg. Try to keep your head in the same line as your spine. So as you come forward, the crown of the head is reaching away from your tailbone, as opposed to trying to keep the head looking up and forward, which can often lead to strain in the neck. Right, you can stay a few breaths. Maybe move that front leg a little more bent, a little more straight, especially if you're feeling kind of tight in that leg today. Great. And then bending the knee again, we'll lift all the way up and release the arms. Step the feet back together. And again, before we go to the other side, just take note of the difference between one calf and ankle, the other, one hip and the other. Anything else that you notice from side to side in your body. And then when you're ready, other foot comes forward. You want to take the back foot, turn it out so that your whole foot is on the ground and you feel stable. And if you feel a little wobbly or lopsided, think about whether your front foot is right in front of the other foot or if it's a little to the side, which ideally is the placement for good balance. And so if you start with your feet hip distance apart and take one foot forward in that same plane, turn the other foot out from the heel, right, as opposed to bringing the heel in, where we end up with a stance that's narrower. Right? So again, you're going to step forward and pivot from your heel. And that will give you a really nice solid base for this pose. So other side. Bending the front knee. Again, lifting the arms into warrior one, and then keeping a long spine, maybe moving your front leg straighter as you come forward. Of course, I'm reaching to the top of the chair. Some of you might prefer to reach a little lower to the seat of the chair, or again, could be to your own knee. And then after a few, you can stay for a few breaths. And again, it may be that you bend and straighten that knee to invite a little bit of ease into that back leg. Or maybe for you, it feels good just to leave it straighter, come into that stretch and relax there with that stretch for a few breaths. So whatever feels right for you. Right. And then when you're ready, you'll bend the front knee, lift all the way up, warrior one. And then exhale to release. And step back. Let's come forward with the first foot again. Again, you can turn the back foot out a little. And this time we're going to, it's a balance pose. So if you want to use the chair, you can. If not, then absolutely you don't have to. So what we'll do is we'll step onto the front foot. Again, you can bring your hands to your chair if you like. You're going to internally rotate the back leg. So as if the back of the hip is coming forward, squaring the hips, and then lift your heart and maybe lift that back leg. So we want to lift the leg straight. So this, bending the knee, not as effective as lifting straight back from the hip. You'll feel, when you're doing it correctly, your glutes, your hamstrings are engaged. If it feels like too much, it may feel like your hamstrings start to cramp, in which case I would say keep your toes on the ground and just imagine you're going to lift, engage gently those muscles, lift the heart. So it's not leaning forward to lift the back leg, we're actually lifting the body, and you won't be able to lift very high. It's a lot of effort here. Great, and then bring that foot down. And start with the other foot back. Shift the weight. Again, as you lift the leg, you want to kind of internally rotate it. So when we step forward and I instructed you to turn your back foot out, as we come into the pose, we're actually turning the back foot in, right? Internally rotating, and then maybe lifting. Okay. And then step back. So you can try that a couple of times. You're stepping onto your front foot, lifting the back leg. Maybe the toes stay down, that's totally fine. Keep a lift in the heart. Right. So we're gonna go back to the first foot that was forward. For me, it's left, I didn't specify. So wherever you started with this, you're gonna come back to that particular place. We're gonna step onto that foot, internally rotate the back leg, reach back. Again, your toes can stay on the ground. And now, if you want a little more, the same arm as the leg that's back will lift. Maybe you'll lift the leg. So arm reaches back, leg reaches back. Now it might look quite different for you. Maybe your toes are down and the arm is more forward. You're finding where your good extension is here. And then release. Let's try the other side. Start with both hands down. Again, if you're not using the chair, that's fine. You can just keep the arms down and we'll lift one. So stepping onto your front foot, internally rotating, maybe lifting the back leg, and then maybe extending the arm on the same side of the leg that's back. And breathing here. Good. And then release, and release. And let's give the legs a shake, give the arms a shake, just let that go. And we'll do a little bit of a forward bend. So that warrior and that variation that we just did, both back bends. So to balance that, you could bring your hands to the chair again, or to your legs, or to the ground. I'm going to use the short side of my chair, the seat of the chair now. So reaching up with the breath in. Soften and bend your knees. Exhale. Come forward. And again, inhale to lift. We'll soften the knees every time. Keeps the back nice and long. We're able to release. If it feels right for you, you can stay in that forward bend. And if you're near a chair, you have lots of options. You can walk toward the chair and maybe come onto your forearms, just depending on how tall you and the chair are. Or you might choose to walk back from your chair and stretch the arms a little bit here. Or, of course, you can always just release toward the ground if that's a better option. Or be a little higher up over your hands. Lots and lots of variations. And find the forward bend that works for you. Stay for a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, wherever you're at, you might walk toward the chair if you're using a chair and lift all the way up. Breathing in and releasing. So now in your mountain pose, just take a moment to notice how your body feels. So just about 40 minutes or so of movement, and especially focusing on the upper chest, upper back, shoulders. Notice what you're aware of as you pause for a moment and tune in. And then we're going to make our way down to the floor. You won't need the chair for this next part, so if you want to get it out of your way, you can do that. And then you'll come right down onto the ground. Take your time. Often getting up and down from the ground is the most challenging part of the class. So whenever you're ready, you're going to come down onto your back. And just bring your hands, one sort of maybe around your solar plexus at the bottom of your rib cage or around your heart, and one a little lower on the belly. Wherever you can have your hands actually, where your elbows can be relaxed on the ground. So you don't want to be up here. You could always tuck something under your arms to support them if you need to have them up to bring your hands onto your body. Or you can be more on the sides of your body so that your elbows are on the ground. And that just ensures that you're not bringing tension into your neck, shoulders, and arms as you try to relax and breathe here. So take a moment to let your body settle. Check in with your neck. If you need support under your head, use a blanket or pillow. And just simply feel the movement of your natural breath. There's no right or wrong here. We're not trying to do anything special with the breath, just noticing that you're breathing and using your hands on your body for awareness. And then we're going to stretch out one arm and one leg, and it's going to be the opposite arm and leg. So if you take your right leg and extend it, you'll take your left arm. Now it could be bent to the side, straight to the side, or straight overhead. Honor your shoulders, so find the position that works for you. And take a few breaths here. Imagine you're breathing from your fingertips of the hand that's up, down to the toes of the leg that's extended. So there's this diagonal line across your body. You're extending along that and imagine you're breathing along that line. And then bring them together. Bring your knee towards your hand towards your knee. You might take the other hand now and squeeze that knee in for a breath or two. And then we'll release that leg. So the arm that was up, you can bring that hand somewhere onto your body where you might be able to feel the breath. And then extending the other leg, opposite arm, either to the side or overhead. And then reaching along that line, that diagonal line across your body, breathing as if you could breathe from your fingertips to your toes. And then again, we'll bend the knee and bring it in towards the body, opposite hand coming to the knee. And then you could bring the other hand and gently squeeze in for a few breaths. Okay, and then we'll release the foot to the floor. And let's bring both knees in for a moment. You can draw the knees forward and back a few times, inhaling the knees moving away, exhaling the knees moving in. If you want to get really a little bit more fancy with the breath here as the knees come in, you can imagine you actually start the movement with your breath. So as I breathe in, there's a sort of subtle movement away that my legs start as my breath comes down into the belly, and then I'm going to finish that movement by just letting the arms glide the knees away. And then as I exhale, I'm going to draw the belly toward the spine, and that starts the movement, and then gently drawing in as I finish the exhale. So it's like your breath initiates the movement. Even if you don't feel the breath initiating the movement, you can just start the breath slightly before the movement and imagine. Now, if you run out of breath before the movement, you can either speed up the movement a little bit or take an extra breath in there somewhere. Okay, when you're ready, you can let your feet come down to the ground. Stretch your arms up towards the ceiling. Turn your palms to face each other and reach up, breathing into the space between your shoulder blades. And then as you exhale, next exhale, let your shoulder blades sink down. And then bend your elbows. Bring your hands across to opposite elbows. And we'll take the head and the elbows to one side. Exhaling to the side. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the other side. Inhaling to center. Continuing like that. Now you can either do a few more rounds with just the arms, or if you're feeling the desire for a little more twist, as the arms go one way, the knees could go the other way. Just be very gentle, especially as you start out. You definitely don't want to overdo the twist here. So maybe you even release the arms and just work with the lower body, if that's a better option, or maybe you just keep working with the arms. Eventually you'll come back to the center. You'll release the arms, bring the knees in toward your chest, and you can repeat the movement that we did right before this of going forward and back. You could also rock side to side. You might circle the knees. So really discovering what would feel good for you after the twist, to release the back and to come back to a feeling of alignment, symmetry before we move into Shavasana. So take your time. Whatever movement might feel good here. You can also extend the limbs and circle the wrists and ankles. Maybe give them a shake, spending a little time here. And then as you feel ready, you can draw the knees back into the chest, maybe spend another few breaths there, any movement that might feel good. And then as you're ready, if there's any other movement that would feel good for you before moving into Shavasana, take your time to move in whatever way your body would enjoy. And then you can start to wind down, finding a comfortable position for Shavasana. That might be with your knees bent as they have been. Might be with your legs straight. Arms could rest on your body or on the floor. Another option, not a widely taken option, but some people do prefer to finish the class seated. So it is entirely up to you if that would be a good option for you. Then you can come to sit. Otherwise, find a nice, comfy lying down position. And you might want a blanket or sweater. So check in that you're warm enough. It's never fun to try and relax when you're chilled. And taking the time you need to make whatever adjustments would be helpful. Allowing your body to settle and sink. Coming back to your breath in the most relaxed way possible now. Absolutely letting the breath be free and easeful, no effort. Feel the weight of your head sink down. Let the breath move with absolute ease. Let the muscles of your face soften, your jaw release. Relax your shoulders. When the breath is moving and the shoulders are relaxed, it's quite possible that you might feel just a little bit of movement of the breath right up under the collarbones. You may not, because it can be quite subtle. And as you exhale, let your shoulders drop a little more and allow your arms to release right from the shoulders to the elbows to the wrists, ultimately relaxing all the way to the tips of your fingers. Soften your jaw again as you allow the neck and throat to release. And feel the movement of the breath around your rib cage, wherever you're aware of it, the front, the back, the sides, doesn't matter. Just notice the gentle movement of the ribs. And a deep sense of letting go and dropping back with each exhalation. Drop down, relaxing and releasing through the waist, the lower back. And be aware of any movement of breath that you're aware of in this area of your body. Some people feel the breath more in the chest, some more in the belly, some equally. Just see if you can feel any movement in the belly as you breathe. And as you exhale, allow your hips to sink down. Allow the muscles of your buttocks to release. And you may even be aware of the feeling of movement of breath right down into the lower belly, or even sometimes all the way down into the pelvic floor. Again, it's very subtle. And there's, again, no need to change the breath in any way. You're simply being aware. And if this much focus on your breath feels agitating for you, bring your awareness to the parts of the body that we're focusing on and let go of the need to focus on the breath. Relaxing your thighs. Feel your knees soften. Drop down through your calves and ankles. See if you can bring some ease and relaxation into your feet, even your toes. Our heart center in yoga is considered to be central to who we are. Our heart is not separate from our head or mind. There's no disconnect in the theory in yoga. So as we've focused on the breath and the heart today, circulating energy from top to bottom through our whole bodies, inviting a deeper connection to our center, to our whole being. And in that deepening connection to ourselves, we start to realize and really feel, even though we're all separate from one another, that there is a connection through the heart, through the breath, and literally through our physical bodies, the earth and water that make up our bodies physically, the air that we breathe, and that spark of fire in our souls. It's a short chant that reminds us of this deep connection with ourselves and others. Share with you now. Om Hridayam Vai Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani. Om Hridayam Vai Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani. Om Hridayam Vai Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani. Now, without straining or forcing, see if you can gently deepen the breath a little bit. Just allowing the breath to be consciously a little more full on the inhale, a little more complete on the exhale. If that feels straining to you, just breathe normally as always. With that deepening breath becomes a little more prana or energy. And with that energy, feel free to start to bring some movement, wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe circling your ankles and wrists, stretching out your arms and legs, whatever would feel good. Take your time. The beauty of practicing yoga at home is if you decide that you want to spend a half an hour in Shavasana, you can absolutely do that. Just ignore me and carry on. And if you're ready to get on with your day, to move on, the easiest way to transition, the least straining way, is to roll onto your side. Pause there for a moment and then make your way upright. But you can also come upright in any way that is right for you. Bringing the palms together. And as you go through your day, periodically tune in, check in with your breath. Often when there's even a little bit of stress, there's holding in the breath, maybe scrunching up of the shoulders, which also can restrict the breath, holding in of the belly. So notice throughout the day where you are with your breath and see if you can come back to any kind of ease with your breath as it is. Namaste.